All right? Now, there are two more topics, and I only have 2 minutes left in the class, so I'll have to be brief. Do I know how to do that? My wife would be laughing about that one if she heard that one. I'm going to be brief. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, I think probably, let's take a look at page 136 to 139 in the one-step book. Page 136 to 139. And I believe I'll try to ask you to get started on that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover what I can do in about 3 to 5 minutes, and then ask you to just go ahead and try to finish that. Anything you have trouble with on that assignment, we'll just dump it into the assignment for the next time, which is for the test the following time. And then we'll just catch up with everything on the following assignment. But now, you remember on page, this section is what I call the fraction hater's delight. Let me show you two things. First of all, if you have a fraction equal to a fraction, like a over b equals to c over d, do you know there's a quick way to get an answer for that? To simplify this and eliminate the fraction. The idea is if you don't like fractions, let's eliminate the fraction. So how do you eliminate the fractions? You go AD equals BC. Okay? That's called cross-multiplying. The mathematicians hate that terminology, so if you're ever in the presence of a mathematician, don't say cross-multiply. Say, I'm using the definition of equality of fractions. But in your heart, you're cross-multiplying, right? You just don't tell them what you're doing. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is show you problems 1, 2, and 3. And problems 1, 2, and 3 on page 136. That's what you do. You just cross-multiply, and I don't think you need an explanation on that. That's so easy. Now, if you'll take a look at a problem like number 8, I'll do number 8 as an example. 5 divided by x minus 2, and then we have minus the fraction 5 divided by x plus 2, and then it says equals to 4. Now, what's different about this compared to what we did in the hardcover book, this is an equation. We're solving the equation. And this is what I call the fraction hater's delight. If you hate fractions, there's something special we can do to an equation that we couldn't do to an expression. Remember when we did the expressions, we had to find the common denominator, put down the draw that long line, put down the common denominator. I had to drag that common denominator all the way through every problem we did. Okay, but now, with this problem, I've got an easier way to do this. Because it's an equation, I can multiply both sides of the equation by the common denominator. So the common denominator here would be x minus 2x plus 2, right? LCD equals x minus 2, x plus 2. I can multiply by x minus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 2, and x minus 2 times x plus 2. I can multiply both sides by that common denominator. Now look what happens. In the first fraction, what happens when you multiply by that? You divide out the x plus 2, you see? In the second fraction, what happens? You divide out the x plus 2. And in the third fraction, nothing divides out, but that's all right. You see what you've done? You've killed off all the denominators. The only thing left here is what? 5 times the quantity x plus 2. Do you want to go ahead and multiply that out? Why not? 5x plus 10, right? Multiply that out. And then you're going to have this minus 5. Now, you can do this in one step if you'll be careful of that minus. Is everybody ready to be careful of that minus? That's going to be what? Minus, green, minus 5x, and then what? Plus 10. Minus 5 times a minus 2 would be a plus 10 equals to, now what you've got to do is let's do this product first. We've got to do all this multiplying out. Go ahead and multiply out x squared. This will be x squared minus 4, won't it? When you multiply that all out. And then it'll be equals to 4x squared minus 16. You see that? And now here's what we got left. See what happened in that first step? We killed off all the denominators. This is why I call this the fraction hater's delight. Because there are no more fractions left. You wiped them out. Isn't that great? There's only one small fly in the ointment. One small problem, and that's when you wipe out those denominators, when you get an answer, you got to make sure that the denominators are not 0. In fact, you might want to set up a warning to yourself up here. What's not allowed in that fraction, you see? 2. X cannot equal 2. What's not allowed here? X cannot equal -2. If you set up warning signals to yourself, then if you ever get an answer of x equals 2 or -2 down here at the bottom somewhere, you're going to have to reject that answer, okay? Because remember, you're never allowed to make a denominator 0. And you might do it accidentally by multiplying both sides by a variable. Let's see, this subtracts out, that would give you what? 20 is equal to 4x squared minus 16. What would you do to solve for x? How about add 16 to both sides? Let's add 16 to both sides. And that would give you 36 equals 4x squared. Now what? Divide by 4, and that would give you 9 equals x squared. So x equals what? 3 or -3. In other words, plus or minus 3 is the answer. Does it make any denominator 0? No, it's okay, so that's fine. Now there are more problems, just go as far as you can in that assignment. We got pretty far along. I think I got you down to page 137. You can probably get on over to 138.